What's up, everybody? Welcome to SWAT MMA. We're smoking weed. We're talking mixed martial arts. This is episode number 119. My name is Jarrod. I'm here with Paul. And we're coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. Tonight, we're going to be smoking and talking all about the UFC fight night from last weekend. We saw Jose Aldo win against Rob Font. We're going to be talking about the Bellator event that saw Sergio Pettis with his come-from-behind KO victory over Horiguchi. We're going to discuss some surprising rumors about Terrance Crawford that our sources here in Las Vegas have alerted us to. And then we're going to take a look at the UFC 269 end-of-the-year pay-per-view headlined by two title fights, the lightweight battle between champion Charles Olivera and Dustin Poirier, and Amanda Nunes defends her bantamweight title against Juliana Pena. But before we dive into the combat sports, you know what time it is. Grab your weed, fire it up, and let's get into the weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
Paul, this week we are smoking on a brand new entry, keeping with the OG theme. Now we've got some Tahoe OG, which is a nice indica. I'm going to fire up this raw cone here. And what do you think of the colors there on that? Huge. That is a nice fat bud there, dude. That's like a 3-gram bud.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I feel like you really can never go wrong with a good OG strain, you know? It's funny, though, that we have Tahoe OG, because I literally had a cartridge literally like 4 days ago that was a Tahoe OG, and I was like, oh, shit.
Did you? Nice.
It tasted good, too. So
it's got some wonderful looking red hairs. It's not quite as bright as some of the other OG strains like Fire. Mm-hmm. It is the genetics are, it's a OG Kush phenotype. So might as well dive into the genetics of OG Kush, one of the backbone strains here on the West Coast. OG is a mix of 4 different strains. It's a mystery North California hybrid that was crossed with Chemdog, crossed with Lemon Thai, and then a Hindu Kush plant that had been brought over from Amsterdam, which gave it a very unique terpene profile, kind of lemony, kind of skunky, kind of earthy. And from there, Paul, it has birthed so many different variations of not just OG, but lines like Diesel and Sour Diesel and all its various strains, and including this wonderful phenotype we have today.
yeah, like I said, never go wrong with a good OG strain.
Like that flavor? I don't know. I get a citrusy like overall taste, but to try and distinguish it as lemon, honestly, like if you didn't have it in the genetics, or in the descriptors, I wouldn't really notice it. I mean, it's got the Lemon Thai back history there.
Yeah.
But you definitely pick up on the citrus, though, for me, without a doubt.
Yeah, there's definitely good like citrus taste to it, but like you said, to deviate all that shit, probably not.
That's very nice. You know, they say that one of the benefits of smoking Tahoe OG is you get the big kick from the indica, but it's combined with kind of the mental euphoria that you often get with a sativa.
Okay.
So let's hope that is the case as we proceed into combat sports. Folks, listen in. We hope wherever you are, cannabis is legal. If not, keep up the struggle and hope something you're smoking is as good as this.
Sure.
I got to say. You know, it's sometimes hard to find good weed here in Las Vegas, but our sources on this were very tasty.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the sports.
I disagree with that statement.
No, you don't.
It's not hard to find good weed in Vegas.
Well, I'm thinking in dispensaries.
Oh yeah, dispensaries. Yeah.
I don't mean that's literally all I meant. I don't mean it's hard to find good weed. It's hard in dispensaries. You could easily go into a dispensary and pay like $16 a gram before tax and walk out paying $25, $26 for a gram. That looks all good, and then you'll smoke it, and it tastes like fucking hay.
Yeah, true.
And maybe you don't even smoke enough weed to know that that's a problem. You know, I mean, some people don't. Like when you first start drinking wine, you don't really distinguish between shit wine and fucking a fine bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a bit of time.
Yeah,
And you might
it's an
just think that
acquired
hay
taste.
taste is like, well, maybe that's what it tastes like sometimes. No, that's when people have done some shit growing techniques.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately still a problem here in Vegas.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's
so
not
you win.
It's
all
not the
right?
dispensary's fault, to be clear. I mean, you
Yeah.
sell what is in the market, and not all of it is like that. It is the fault
Some
of growers who
dispensaries, it
rush
is
a
their
product to
fault.
market. I mean, you get that taste and that smell from curing your weed too fast.
Yeah.
You try and fast cure it in 7 days, and that's what's going to happen right there. And these corporate entities that kind of come over and taken these grow houses want to get their bud to market as soon as possible. It's like rushing the aging process on alcohol. Yeah, it's still alcohol, but that gutter swill compared to like a Macallan 18-year, it's not comparable.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait 18 years for weed. You need like a minimum of like a month.
Yeah.
You can do better. But anyways, we digress, my friend.
I guess so. No, I'm just kidding.
That's the shit.
No, I see what you're saying now.
And the small growers that know how to fucking grow, a lot of them have been just pushed out of business here.
Yeah, or they just grow their own shit now.
Because they limit the number of stores that there are. Like, if you look at the Las Vegas metro area, there's like 69 or 70 something weed and cannabis related dispensaries. Roughly the last time I looked, and you compare it to like Denver's metro area where there's 679.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
There's something going on.
Bigger corporations that can afford these licenses that we require here in Vegas, then are the same type of people that are going to rush shit weed to the market to get all that money back. Okay. Whereas your people that know how to grow and cultivate and make fine batches of herb, they don't have the money for the licenses. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Is there's only so many. There's not a free market. You can't just pay a license and go open up. You have to get approved. Kind of like that fucking shit we were talking about a couple weeks ago with the pawn shops.
Yeah.
That $2 million license that was awarded. It's kind of like that, man.
Same shit.
And other states don't have that problem. And so, like in Oregon, we've talked about the glut of cannabis that they had. I don't know if they still do, but like a year ago. Oh my God! You could get weed for like $4 a gram.
Ounce for like $40.
Yeah, because they had too much.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, that's everyone's lesson on cannabis for the day.
Especially here in Vegas.
Well, let's dive into it. So, over the weekend, we saw... Let's start with the Bellator fight. So, we talked about this in our last show. We had Sergio Pettis taking on Kyoji Horiguchi for the Bellator Bantamweight Championship.
We both picked Horiguchi.
Yeah.
Who was winning that fight? Was he not up until he wasn't until he was sleeping on the canvas?
And that's mixed martial arts for you, though. You look at a guy like Horiguchi, who's probably still, maybe technique-wise and shit like that. I still think he's a better fighter.
I think he is too. I mean, look, he was knocked out by a spinning back fist, to be clear. So out of like nowhere, Sergio Pettis just spins and lands it flush, and Horiguchi was sleeping for like a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from Pettis, but I think if you run that back again, the chances of Pettis winning remain about the same as I put him in the first fight. It's probably not going to happen. I mean, it's fighting. You can get knocked out, especially with something like a beautiful spinning back fist you don't see coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Kudos. I think this plays an important aspect to it because what else did Bellator do after that fight, Paul?
Oh, sorry.
What?
Before we go into that, I have a little bit of pushback on what you just said, though. You just basically.
Well, let me just finish that thought because we can probably. I mean, that's relevant because they announced the tournament.
Yeah, they announced the Bantamweight tournament, which kind of made the fight inconsequential in some aspects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead with your problem with what I just said.
My problem is, though, like, he did what everybody said was his. So, like, really the big narrative going into this fight was that the only way Sergio was going to win this fight was if he was just better than Horiguchi because he's not known to finish people.
He's had a string of, 6 to more decisions.
something decisions in a row, yeah. And that
9 maybe.
and that he had, he didn't have what it takes to finish people and stuff like that. And then in this fight, he does exactly that and finishes not only just somebody, finishes like we were talking about in the last show, probably one of the top 5 bantamweights in the world. And so when people sit back and say, "Well, he's still better than him," and all this other shit, it's like, well, on that night, Sergio was the better man and was able to finish him. And everybody's biggest knock on Sergio is that he doesn't finish people, and he just went out and finished one of the best guys in the world. So I feel like that whole narrative has to go away in a second fight between these two. You know what I mean?
I see your point, and under different circumstances, I would agree with it. Different circumstances being normally the chances of Horiguchi getting a rematch anytime soon after getting KO'd in that manner are slim to none.
Okay, this was the UFC, that would not be happening.
Right, but the problem is they announced this tournament where he could easily, depending on how the bracket's laid out, be facing him right away or in this
there's no way
fight
he's
and a half,
right away.
Couple fights later. But and if he had just thrown a regular right cross, say, and knocked him out, I'd be like, well, damn, he's got that power. And I don't mean this as a critique of Pettis, but he knocked him out with a fucking spinning back fist, the most torqued punch you can throw in mixed martial arts.
He did kind of set it up, though.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't smart, it wasn't brilliant. I'm saying that that's not a sign of having knockout power because you knock somebody out with a spinning back fist.
True.
Whereas, let's say he just landed a right and slept it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. I would not saying he didn't plan it. It wasn't beautiful. He didn't look for it. It was all of those things. I'm saying it's not a sign of power. So I don't know if you can land a spinning back fist with as much regularity as you could land, say, a powerful right hand if you had that. That's all.
Well, I'm not saying that he woke up one day and he's fucking one of the most powerful guys in fighting, but putting all those different kind of punches and stuff in your arsenal kind of does make you have a next level of power because you're using what power you had before, but in a better way, like a more efficient way. Like obviously those kind of I agree with you. Obviously, flying knees and spinning kicks and shit like that are not always going to be the things that land because they're hard to set up and everything in between. Some people just have specific levels of defense where they see those things coming.
Well, yeah,
but
they're telegraphed. I mean, you have to take the time to spin in a full circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
sometimes
slipping a right
they are
hand.
though. I think.
Well, I mean, like Horiguchi didn't see it coming. I'm just saying it has to be the right.
Yeah,
time,
but I think he didn't
like
see it due to that
punch.
kick that Sergio tried to land. It was definitely something that's set up. Like it's something that everyone's like, "Damn, that was a crazy, flash knockout." I think he set that shit up because he threw that kick and then immediately went to it. Like maybe that was just that being
instinct.
second nature, like instinct, like that's fucking nuts.
Yeah. Either he set it up or it was instinct.
Yeah.
Either way,
it was fucking.
It was very good, and it wasn't just like some lucky thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to imply that it was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, to me, I don't know if you can land a punch like that again in a second fight. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
So, what about all the rest of the rounds?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying he's going to lose to him. I'm just saying, if they meet up again, I would, and I was betting it, I'd probably put my money on Horiguchi still.
Okay.
But the cool thing is we'll actually see that happen. I wouldn't even bring it up if it wasn't a tournament. I mean, how the fuck would Horiguchi get back to him now?
But yeah, no,
I'm not clamoring for a rematch. It's just that's what we get.
I feel like it kind of. We talked about this literally right before the main event. We were texting and I was like, dude, why would they announce that before the main event? I feel like it just made the main event just so inconsequential. It was just like, well, even doesn't matter who wins tonight because they're gonna run it back in like 2 months. So like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I didn't get that.
To our listeners who might not be familiar with how Bellator Grand Prix work, this will be, I think, their 4th iteration since they started under Coker. Mm-hmm. And the belt is in a designated weight class with certain fighters and brackets, like a typical tournament. There's $1 million at stake at the end of it, in addition to all their other salaries. and the champion is involved, and his belt is up for grabs
in every
fight.
round.
And if somebody beats him, then the belt is up for grabs in their next fight. So what you just said is 100% correct. I think that is definitely something you wait until after the bout is over.
Like in the press conference.
And then you're in the press conference, and then you announce, hey, this awesome champ you just saw is now going to defend it in the fucking tournament. Instead, yes, it completely devalued it.
It did.
I mean, what the fuck? You know that Horiguchi, especially since Horiguchi's in the tournament.
Yeah, he is.
It's like, well, fuck, man.
Even if he beats him, he's gonna get his chance to redeem himself. But on Horiguchi's side, though, like, come on.
I like the Grand Prix, to be clear. I think it's great.
It's a great idea, yeah. I like it.
Him. I just don't like the timing
It's
of that.
The timing of it, yeah.
You kind of shit on your own main event, like you just.
At least that's how it felt to me. Like, I was just like, huh.
Yeah, I agree.
Wouldn't you wait for something like that?
Well, to finish this off with, let me ask you something. Do you think that this win puts Sergio Pettis in the class anywhere? Like, if you had to rank him in the top of the UFC, what number would you assign him? Or is he better than them all?
No. He's definitely not better than them all. Shit. Here's my problem with we'll just have to see him against one of them, like, recently. Because this does kind of go into the fight night. So let's put the Bellator thing to rest and just talk about what you're talking about, kind of, and then throw it.
Because that's where all the best bantamweights are now. Horiguchi lost. He was the best outside, I think.
And then, obviously, Sergio's last fight was against Rob Font, who we saw last weekend, and he's considered to be in the upper echelon of bantamweights. So I just would be curious to see them fight.
Yeah, we've got
Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw,
Aljamain
Aldo.
Did Jose Aldo, who, I mean, he looked good.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I probably would say like 7th in the division. 6th.
7th is currently Cody Garbrandt, who shouldn't even be there. I mean, that would put him above Pedro Nunes, but below, Merab, and then.
Yeah,
I think
him and Merab would be. I think him and Merab would be a tough fight for Sergio.
I think Rob Font would be a tough fight. He might be able to beat Rob Font. But any of these
he already lost to Rob Font.
I think he might get.
You mean to run it back?
I think Corey Sandhagen, Dillashaw, Yan, Sterling, they all whip his ass.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a fight against any of them. And I like Sergio Pettis.
So good for him for being in bantamweight and going over there.
Bellator,
in Bellator and being their champ, and you're in a good spot. Not trying to talk shit. It's just fun to talk about because that's
fun
what
to
the best
see.
guys are. And then he is definitely in that top 10 list. Yeah, I mean, being said you're number 7 in the world basically is not a diss.
Pound for pound in the world. I mean, you're not in the UFC. You're in Bellator, so
that's elite fucking company right there.
Oh yeah.
So, phone fucking going on. I should put the volume down.
Well, let's dive into UFC Fight Night, where
let's talk about. We were just saying Rob Font and Jose Aldo.
Rob Font, Jose Aldo.
Jose Aldo wins.
Interesting fight.
It's a good win for Aldo. I personally.
It was strange though.
We saw this fight different. I thought Font looked good in the first round.
I did too.
After.
I will. Here's the thing.
You're a little more forgiving of him.
You're a little bit more.
I mean,
Jared's more cutthroat about this performance for sure. Well, let me tell you.
I feel like George St. Pierre when he came out, and I'm not trying to talk shit, but I was not impressed.
Well, let me just give you my kind of view of how I feel the fight went, and then you can shit on it if you want.
Why would I shit on it?
So, I think the whole. Yeah, I agree with you. That first round, it was like exactly what he did in that first round up to the last 15 seconds is exactly what he was going to have to do for 5 rounds to get Jose Aldo out of there. And I thought he was on track to doing so until those last 15 seconds where he got knocked down and close, like really close to being completely knocked out, I thought it was over, to be honest. I thought the ref was about to step in, and I was like, fuck, dude, that's the end of it. Because he caught him
he got
clean.
him bad.
He was bad. And then I kind of feel like it was almost comparable to when Jimmy Rivera fought Peter Yan. Like after that, I think it was like a lot of Rob Font like trying to come back and trying to like land combos, and every time he did, he'd land another combo, another combo, another combo, and then Aldo would just do something, whether it be knock him down or take him down to a level where you're like, well, he just has lost this round now. Like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? In every single round after that, I thought the second round he came out, he was obviously dazed at the beginning, so it wasn't as good of a round for him. Obviously, Aldo won that one. But
he
in the
got his
third,
licks in.
yeah, in the third, I thought he came back like a little bit more back to life, and he was winning that fight in the third, and then got taken down, and it was like, yeah, you lost the round, bud. And then the fourth and fifth, I thought he just got beat up. It was
I
rough.
don't actually disagree.
I didn't
with
see
that
that coming.
And Aldo took some punishment. I mean, his eye was all busted up. He had a big black eye swollen. It wasn't, like Rob Font didn't do some damage. It was just
Classic Aldo came out, dog.
yeah. That was the best I've seen Aldo look in this.
King of Rio Aldo came
drop.
out, dog. Came out the leg kicks.
Yeah, I haven't been a fan of this whole thing, and then he looks like that. It's like okay.
What do you think though? He's right in the mix though. If he
He
fights
is.
like
No,
that,
for
dude,
real.
he's right in the mix.
Well, he looked real good. Like that was.
He called
like
out
vintage-
Dillashaw after the fight.
That was vintage Jose Aldo leg kicks, the power.
Mm-hmm.
the
You see that?
intensity.
Called out TJ Dillashaw after.
Yeah.
I think that's a logical next step.
Is Dillashaw ready to come back from injury yet? Do you know? I don't
No,
think
but
so.
they don't really have to run it anytime soon.
No, I mean he just fought, so it's feasible.
I think he said he was gonna. When he was on that fight companion with Brendan Schaub, I think he said he was gonna come back in March or some shit like that. So that's normal because they've been
feasible.
announcing fights for February lately. So that's maybe
Right. Well, it was a wonderful classic performance. From
Yeah.
Jose Aldo, mixed with what I thought was a bit of a off performance from Rob Font, and I'm not saying that to take away. The way Aldo fought, Rob could have fought at his best and still lost. It was just.
I really just think
I
it
wasn't
comes
too
down to that
impressed, but-
knockdown. I feel like that knockdown completely changed the whole fight because he was on track to doing exactly what he needed to do to beat Aldo, and then as soon as he got dazed, I feel like he got rattled like mentally, and from there on, Aldo was just too confident to be beat. Like the way he was fighting, he just like, you know what I mean? Like Aldo fights like two different ways. He either like he tries to put you away or he plays like the numbers game, and I felt like when he played the numbers game back in the day, when he had those like classic performances against like Faber and all those WEC guys, he always like played a game where he was just gonna see how much you could take, and he's gonna fucking rip you to the body. He's gonna rip your legs up, and then he's gonna hit you with big shots. I feel like he did that against Font, which has been different. You know what I mean? Over his last couple fights, I felt like he was always playing the game, the striking game with whoever. Like he wasn't controlling the pace. I feel like in this fight, after that first round, he was controlling the pace and where like at what distance the fight took place because he was ripping him to the body, making Rob back up, and then when he backed up, he was chopping his legs up, and I just felt like he had no answer for it. You know what I mean? Because you can't keep a pace when you have no legs and you have no body. You know what I mean? If your body's getting beat up and your legs are getting chopped up, there's no pace to be made. You know what I mean? And that's where Jose Aldo gets ahead. And that if he keeps fighting like that, man, I don't know. He could still be right in the mix at bantamweight, dude.
I agree with everything you just said, and it's funny because I didn't, if you'd have told me this, 3 months ago, before his last fight, even after his last fight, I'm like, no.
Nah, he
I'm
just
not
looked a
seeing it,
little
bro.
washed.
Like, I don't really know what we're doing here.
Maybe, I don't know.
And then, boom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Jose Aldo's actually in the mix that weight class, which is really surprising. So.
And even when he fought Jan, he got some good licks in on Jan before he got whooped. So who knows? He maybe changes a couple things. Maybe that fight goes different.
We'll see if, when Dillashaw's ready, if that's a fight they're interested in. I'm pretty sure Dillashaw isn't going to be too interested in fighting Jose Aldo right now. Because
but he's kind of been skipped.
Because he's going to want that title shot. He might be interested in fighting him afterwards. But
you think he'll sit that long on the sideline, though, with how much time he's already missed?
We'll see.
Because you got to think,
We'll just see how the title shakes out. I mean, so many other things are at play. So
it would have to be like Aljo being out even longer than what we thought. Because if Aljo and Jan are fucking fighting, that fight, unless Aldo gets took out early, I would say, but either guy is gonna have to take some time off after that fight, and then that puts how
Oh no,
much
I
more
could
time,
totally see
you know?
if that fight gets booked. Like, say, if we get an announcement by early January, it gets booked by end of February, say March.
Yeah,
I definitely would think TJ would wait.
you wait even longer.
I do.
Damn,
Maybe not.
that's why
Maybe he goes and fights Jose Aldo, but we'll just have to see what happens.
that'd still be a big
I
fight.
personally don't think.
That's the type of fight you can make 5 rounds as a co-main event.
I don't think Sterling's going to be ready for a while.
You don't think so?
There's like no news on
Yeah.
So we'll see. What did you think of the co-main event?
Oh, dude,
Who was fighting?
Huh?
Who was it? It was Brad Riddell versus
Brad Riddell versus Rafael Fiziev.
These were friends, former coaches,
training partners.
Yeah, like very very interesting fight. And who wound up? It was a KO by
Fiziev. Yeah.
Fiziev.
He had that spinning back kick, just landed perfect.
What
it was
a beautiful
ridiculous.
kick that was.
It was ridiculous.
Did he get KO of the night with that? You know, a bonus. Oh, they don't call him that anymore, but the performance of the night. Performance of the night bonus.
I don't know because the fight under that might have too. I didn't hear either.
I didn't pay attention to the fight bonuses this week, but
Yeah.
he should have. That was an amazing kick.
But then again, the fight literally before that too, Jamal Hill knocks Jimmy Cruz out with like 2 perfect right hands, dude. Hits with the first right hand, knocks him down, and it looks like it's gonna be over. Then Cruz kind of gets his wits back for like a second, and then starts throwing back, and then he hits him again, clean, and knocks him out cold. It was, dude, he broke his nose and his orbital. It looked like because his eye was completely swollen up, and his nose you could literally see where it was broken.
Yeah, that was nasty.
That was nasty.
And Cruz's a tough man. I mean, he's a hard out. That was a really impressive performance from Hill in that.
Yeah. That's what's crazy is like people will say recency bias, but I think last weekend had 3 candidates for probably KO of the year. Like not even gonna lie, that Fiziev knockout was too clean, and that freaking Sergio Pettis knockout I think could have been knockout of the year.
That's as beautiful of a spinning back fist that'll land.
Yeah.
Do you, as just a matter of opinion, do you think that stakes matter when you look at a thing like KO of the year, or is it just purely the knockout?
I think if you run the stakes matter game, any title fight, you can be like, oh yeah, that was knockout of the year, even if it's not a sick knockout. I feel like there should be like KO of the year, or there should be sickest KO of the year.
They don't necessarily have to weigh that much, but like, is Sergio Pettis not pulling that move on a competitor at the level of Horiguchi a more impressive knockout than, say, I don't know, a guy on the regional who lands some amazing wheel kick KO of his own? Like, because maybe that guy's fighting a newbie, you know, a guy who's got 3 MMA fights and is wide open for these amazing kicks, whereas Horiguchi is a top level competitor in the world. I'm not saying it weighs one or the other. I'm just curious. Does it, in your opinion, do you think about that, or is it just whoever did the sickest shit that we see?
Fuck you, first of all.
No, there's no wrong answer. You
know? That's funny, but I don't know. Obviously, if it's in the UFC and shit like that, it's gonna be a lot more viewed to begin with. So maybe someone's not gonna see that regional one, but I don't know.
We'll take the Twitter account of somebody like Caposa. That dude does some crazy knockouts all the time, right?
Yeah.
But like at the end of the year, we're not going through his Twitter feed picking what was.
Ariel Helwani does.
I mean, we could. We can just echo the great nose over there, right?
They should just do. He should have all the nominees for all the World MMA awards. He should just hand them over to them.
I mean, to me, I think it matters, but only a tiny little bit. Like not much.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I'm just saying, like, no one's gonna even consider those fights because it's the World MMA Awards. They consider the 3, pretty much the 3 or 4. I'd say the 5 major organizations. Like, it's really like Ryzen, One, Bellator, UFC, World Series, PFL. And you don't really see a lot of people in the lower anything get. Even one has a hard time getting a lot of like nominations, and
This is
rising
true.
obviously.
This is very true. It's dominated in that type of area by the ones that get the most views, which is
Those
always
awards are
gonna
usually
be.
just like Bellator versus UFC the whole time. PFL might have someone though. I could see Kayla Harrison winning some shit.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But
I think that rounds out the fight night. This is overall a good event, but those 3 fights really stood out for me and for you. As far as shifting out of MMA for a moment, there's a rumor in boxing that that we've picked up on here in Las Vegas, and for those that may not somehow know, like Floyd Money Mayweather calls it home here, as well as his team and his base gym, and the Money team is a pretty significant boxing entity here in Las Vegas. I mean, one of the first things you see when you're driving in is the giant, 15-0 Floyd sign. You and I have both personally talked to Leonard Ellerby on a few occasions because they're just around town, And there's a rumor that we've picked up on, right, Paul, about Terrance Crawford, who is done with Bob Arum and looking for a new promoter. And our sources have been saying that there is a possibility that he signs with Floyd Mayweather as his promoter, which could be very significant to the fact that, you take what Bob Arum always said, he's not a star, he doesn't make any money, but Arum's a shitty promoter. People don't know who Crawford is.
yeah,
And if you look at the Money team and what they're doing with Gervonta Davis and with the pay-per-views that they're having, what they're doing is successful. They're running successful pay-per-views.
yeah,
They know how to put promotions on. They know how to bring eyeballs to things. They know how to carefully match up fighters, for that matter, in order to get maximum value out of what they're doing. And there is a line of thought that if that were to happen, that could turn Terrance Crawford into one of the biggest stars in boxing with the right promotion from Floyd Mayweather.
yeah.
And aside from just the rumor mill and our sources that we've heard, there's some public indication of this. If you look a little below the surface in the statements that Floyd is suddenly publicly making about Terrance Crawford, like he's better than Canelo Alvarez. It's just nobody knows it. A few other statements like this where he's just coming out in public support of Crawford. So I find that to be a very interesting rumor. I think that it is something that Floyd would be successful at blowing up, personally. I think Crawford has everything there but the eyeballs. People just don't know who he is. He's got the skill, he's got the belts, he's got the history. He's mean, he's tough. There's a fan base there, What do you think, Paul?
There could be good parts and bad parts to it.
Do you think there's any truth to this rumor? I mean, we're getting it from a fairly good source here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
It is just a rumor right now, but it's a pretty solid one if you really dig into it.
Yeah, there's only so many like major promotions in boxing at this point, honestly. So,
and that would put him in line with all these PBC fighters, and there's a lot of good fights that can be made for him there.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a big list of guys he could fight there. As
I don't. Here's the thing. Do you think? I just want Crawford to sign to anywhere that's going to be willing to negotiate the Earl Spence fight. That's all.
I think that definitely happens if he signs with the Money team. Not first. Maybe, but.
You don't think?
Oh, I just took a monster hit of that bubbler. Sorry, everybody. I got a cough. No, I think what would happen is it'd take at least one well-matched fight to kind of build him up a little bit to a wider audience. Okay, because even Arum's coming out and saying that last pay-per-view just didn't really pull anything. Who knows? He's not going to want to big up Crawford on the way out the door, but other sources are indicating the same. So I would think personally, in my opinion, they would build him up with at least one pay-per-view first before they could turn that. Because Earl Spence versus Terrance Crawford, if marketed and built right,
could be a mega fight.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that could be massive, bro.
Yeah.
And an important fight for boxing.
Everyone already wants it. But
Everybody
if you put
in
the
the
right
know,
yeah. But if you put the right promotion around it, you can make it like a super fight where it's like
yeah, we're talking about the casuals here. Like all
Yeah.
your boxing fans are on board
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this no matter what. But we're talking about these fights that can appeal to the general public and bring in these massive pay-per-views and draw all these eyeballs on two fighters who deserve them.
Yeah.
I hope it happens. It is just a rumor and nothing more, but it's a pretty solid one that I think here in the next few weeks we might be hearing more about, Paul.
Well,
look what they've done with Gervonta Davis. I mean, he just had his fight against Cruz this past weekend, which we might as well bridge into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was done. You know, there was a lot going on in Vegas that night that people aren't aware of, because this weekend we also had Haney defend his title
the day before.
Right, the day before. But that was booked on a night that had Martin Lawrence doing a major comedy event here in Las Vegas as well, which is why they booked.
And there was like literally, there
Well,
was
there's a
like
bunch of
so
other
much
stuff,
shit.
too.
There was
Yeah.
like a concert at the Raider Stadium. There was like
But look, they're looking. Let's be frank. They're looking
yeah.
for a portion of that black audience. Okay,
Oh,
and a
yeah.
lot of that black audience is going to be at the Martin. When the fuck does Martin Lawrence ever come out and do comedy? Like never. That's a milestone event.
Yeah.
That people in that community and others like myself, dude, I would have loved to have gone to that shit. Are you kidding me? But you don't really want to run a boxing match in that same demographic that you're trying to appeal to up against that. And Ellerby and Floyd know that, hence they're running Gervonta Davis's fight on a fucking Sunday night.
Yeah.
And it's successful from all indications thus far.
It was trending on Twitter for a minute too, so.
Well, now let's shift into that. You know, Davis gets the close decision. I had it 115, 113 for Gervonta, and I thought it was a great fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
They're trying to, talk that it was, oh, we need to run it back. I was, you lose, I get it. You lost a close fight. But.
Yeah. I don't know, it was a good fight, but I don't necessarily think like they need to run it back or anything either.
Well,
I thought it was a case of where, like, what was this? 3 weeks? Maybe a month in advance that his original opponent has to be withdrawn. So,
we get
there
the
could
short
be
notice.
you got a short notice, and then one thing that you were talking about earlier was like the size difference too.
Right. This is the first time in Tank's career that he's faced an opponent who is not only shorter than him, but also had a smaller reach than him. So he'd never had to punch down on anyone before, and he didn't really have time to prepare for that for the first time. So it was a little awkward, which he believes is what led to him punching the top of his head and breaking his hand in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah.
Which then impacted the fight. Obviously, if you watch it, he's not using that hand much from that general time forward.
Yeah.
And that's not something that would happen. He's not going to have that punch when he's in any fight he's had prior.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely a tough fight, but like we were talking about before, I just don't really see the point of a rematch.
Neither do I. There is some people questioning.
Maybe if he gets a couple wins or something, but like
no,
not
you move
right
forward
away.
From that. It was a solid win. Most of the experts that I looked to, in media, also had Tank win in a close fight.
Yeah, I thought he won in close fight. That's boxing. You win close fights sometimes. Doesn't mean you
all
need
the
a fucking
judges saw it that
rematch all
way.
the time.
No. So, but that leaves a lot of interesting things going on at 135. I mean, we were just talking about Haney.
Yeah.
We've got Davis up there now. We've got Teofimo Lopez. We've got all these things going on. Cambosis, obviously, knows where he's going and what they're doing.
Yeah.
But lots of fun things going on in boxing. Lots of interesting rumors. And if we hear anything more solid on this, Crawford and the money team discussion, we'll definitely talk about it.
I think it would be a smart move for him, yeah, for sure.
That wraps up boxing.
Yep.
And that leaves the UFC's final pay-per-view of 2021, which is 269. We got 2 title fights atop what is really, Paul,
Stacked.
is this not a stellar card from top to
Fucking
bottom?
stacked card.
I mean, there's 5 fights on the pay-per-view, and then the regular prelims have 4 solid fights, and then there's 6 fights on the early prelims.
Yeah.
So,
And there's really good fights all the way through the card. Pretty much at every level.
we're usually seeing 11 to 10 fights, sometimes 12 on a UFC card, and we're getting 15. Was it 15 on this? Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Super card.
I mean, even the opener is a women's flyweight bout between Jillian Robertson and Priscilla Cachoeira. I don't know. I probably butchered her last name. Even that is a solid fight right there. Jillian Robertson, I remember her from Tough.
Mm-hmm.
She's a solid fighter. And for an opening bout on a pay-per-view prelims, I like it. We've got Randy Costa appearing on the early prelims.
Yeah, he's always fun to watch.
He's fighting Tony Kelly. A lot of these are, they're
Ryan
solid.
Hall's in there too. Like Ryan Hall, fuck man. After his last fight, he needs to put something together because he had took all that time off, and then he finally got a fight, and then he loses, and he just
Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, his last fight, he got KO'd.
Yeah.
This was in July of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you said like he took all that time off. He did take time off, but it wasn't by choice.
Well, yeah. There was a lot of people denying fights and shit like that.
This is a man who's chomping at the bit to get a fight that nobody wants to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only had 10 pro fights, for goodness sakes. He's 8-2.
Yeah.
He sees that KO in round 1. I mean, God, it was at 447.
Yeah.
Prior to that, his last fight had been against Darren Elkins, which was July of 2019. Then he had one fight in 2018 against BJ Penn, back when that was still carried a little bit more weight. But he subbed him, though.
Yeah, it was good. I remember that. That was like so hard to watch because he put him in that freaking Imanari rolling.
Yeah, he took BJ Penn to jiu-jitsu school
in
an MMA bout. Like, it wasn't like somebody whooped up on BJ because he's old and slow and they KO'd him. Like, BJ still got jiu-jitsu hops. It was terrible.
It was even worse.
And Elkins is a tough fucking out, dude.
Yeah.
And prior to that, he hadn't had a fight since 2016. And for those people who probably never heard of Ryan Hall, they're like, well, why doesn't anybody want to fight this guy?
Because he'll rip your knee off.
Yeah, his jiu-jitsu is, well, if I roll down his accolades here, his, ADCC World Championship golds in 2009, 8, 9 medals, 8, all various medals. Golds 2012, 2011. Like, this guy holds more gold medals and more world champions in jiu-jitsu than most competitors do in their whole lives put together.
Yeah.
And that's why nobody wants a piece of him.
Yeah, no.
Because they're going to go out and get embarrassed in most cases, unless they can do
knock him out.
What Taparera, however you say his name, sorry.
Yeah.
Did to him with the KO.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see Ryan Hall get a fight. He's fighting a guy with 12 losses, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's
could be a get right fight.
Yeah, I'm trying to knock his opponent at all. It's just I'm thinking it's a bit of a get right fight. I've never heard of Derek Minner before, but I would like to see Ryan Hall get a victory.
Yeah.
I think he can be a force to be reckoned with if he can learn to navigate himself on his feet a little bit better. We don't see enough of him to know if he has.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that's true.
So hopefully this will answer some questions.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got what I feel is an important flyweight bout on here. Mm-hmm. Alex Perez versus Matt Schnell.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're not talking about the contender here, but this division needs fresh stars.
Mm-hmm.
The winner here is going to be on a nice uptrend. These are a couple of solid contenders. Matt Schnell was also on, The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Fuck, I saw that kid on an MTV show, I think it was, years ago when he was amateur, bro.
Oh, yeah?
I think it was the same one Dustin Poirier was on.
Oh, was he on Bully Beatdown or whatever?
No, it was a documentary. They had They had this guy that went around. It was just distributed on MTV. He went around and did these documentaries, and he spent time in MMA camps, and one of them was with Matt Schnell.
Okay.
But he was not professional at the time. And he
Okay.
wound up, here he is. So, you see fighters grow like that. So I'm always looking forward to seeing him fight. And Alex Perez is a good, solid fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like we're talking about the headliners here on a fucking fight night card, and we're just talking about the early prelims.
Yes, the early prelims,
Right.
not even the regular prelims yet. But let's jump to the regular prelims. I think it was supposed to be, 2 weeks ago? We have Augusto Sakai taking on Tai Tuivasa. I believe it got canceled 2 weeks ago because someone had COVID in their camp or something like that. But it's back on. Who do you got?
Tai Tuivasa. Dude, I'm not a fan of Augusto Saki. I've never been that impressed with his victories.
Yeah.
I am a fan of Tuivasa.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tuivasa.
I really would like to see him get the victory, and I think he's got the skills to get it done. I mean, the thing is, it's heavyweight, so
yeah, anything could happen.
Yeah, and then there's this cliche in fighting. Well, it's why they fight, because anything can happen. But I mean, in heavyweight, it really is different.
It really is that.
Like,
yeah.
You don't have to be blessed with some supernatural power like maybe you do, like a Conor McGregor power to be sleeping.
Ty's got some power though, for sure.
Your weight behind you is usually in the 250-pound category.
Yeah, true.
The mass alone is enough to knock a motherfucker out.
Yeah,
so
true.
Anybody literally can get KO'd. I really would like to see Tuivasa get to victory.
Yeah, me too.
I think there's quite an age difference in that fight too, isn't there?
Not sure, to be honest.
Saki's in his early 40s.
Is he?
I could be completely wrong. I'm thinking of somebody else, and I'm not going to look it up right now. We'll all find out next weekend.
And then, so moving up the card, then we have Dominic Cruz taking on Pedro Munoz on the prelims.
And it's not even the headliner of the prelims. I find this a very odd bantamweight matchup to stick underneath the quote-unquote headliner of the prelims.
Yeah, this could be like the main event of a fight night.
Yeah, like this is number 7 versus number 8 in the division. Yeah. It's definitely a main event. When you look at this, I don't know if star power is the right word, but even most casual fans know who Dominic Cruz is because if you've tuned into a UFC broadcast, you've likely heard him.
Mm-hmm.
He's on TV a lot in his analyst role as well.
Yeah. You know what, though? One thing that could happen here that has happened in the last 2 events that I've watched, sometimes you'll go on UFC.com and click on the card, and it will come up in one order, right? Sometimes you'll, turn it on TV, and it will come, that shit will be different.
This is true. The final order can be different than what we're reading here.
Yeah, because it literally happened the last 2 weeks that we've talked about fights being weirdly in the wrong place on the card, and then I'll watch it, and then it'll be like the co-main event or something like that, and I'll be like, the fuck? They said this was on the prelims, and on whatever website.
Yeah, I'm baffled, and it's not a disrespect to the fight above them, which is Josh Emmett versus Dan Ige at featherweight. That's a marvelous fight.
That's a good fight at featherweight.
Talking about one of the
star
all-time
value,
greats at bantamweight. Wherever he's at in his career right now,
taking
it's still top 10.
Really, actually,
taking on an active.
Pedro Munoz is actually pretty big too. He's known for his knockouts and everything like that. So he has some star power that he carries as well. You know what I mean?
And these are both guys active in the top 10 of the division.
Yeah.
One is a multiple-time world champ who's also an analyst all over your channel. I don't get the placement here. Maybe we're wrong.
Yeah.
That's a tough out for Dominic, but I like.
Who do you got there?
I can't pick against Dominic Cruz.
I think Munoz beats him. I hate to say it, but I think that's what happens.
I don't see it happening, but that'd be impressive for Pedro. I think Cruz is still too slick and too good.
I think Pedro hits too hard. I don't think Cruz has the same, I don't think he has the same chin as he once did.
Well,
hate to be like that.
No, I agree, but I don't think it's where he's going to get KO'd by Pedro Munoz because he's not going to stand there flat-footed and take it. He's always rolling and moving.
True.
We'll see. I'm going to talk a lot of shit next week. Dominic Cruz is to that easy.
I'm not saying that Dominic Cruz can't win that fight. I just don't. I don't know. His last fight wasn't very impressive to me against Casey Kenny.
No.
As soon as Casey started turning up the power on him, I feel like Dominic kind of was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think that was just an off night for the Dominator.
Okay.
I don't know, dude. I'm just fucking around. But no, I do think he's probably going to get the knock. We'll see.
All right, and then
What about your boy Josh Emmett versus Dan
yeah,
Ige, man?
Dan Ige. That should be tough. Both guys hit hard. Both guys are freaking known for finishing fights. So I don't know. His one dude's nickname is literally 50K.
50K Dan Ige.
Yeah, because he gets performance bonuses.
Dude, he's a fucking great fighter, man. This is going to be an action fight. This could be.
This could be a like someone's getting performance of the night. Whoever wins this fight, like literally.
And both of these guys are in their division. They're ranked higher than Cruz and Munoz. And if this is the bout order, that's likely what the UFC is looking at as far as the placement.
Yeah,
is
but
that if you have
sometimes that doesn't
number
work.
4 versus number 5, it's going to be higher than number 7 versus number 8, regardless of the division.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. That's just a guess. We'll see how it all shakes out.
I think it is though because I think Emmett's ranked like 6th.
Yeah, they're high. It is. I looked
yeah,
at the charts.
it's like 6 for 7 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's 7 and 8 with the other two, and I think it's 5 and 6 for
Yeah,
these guys. I like Josh Emmett.
yeah, I'm taking Emmett.
He's a really tough motherfucker.
Yeah. Plus, he just like you got to pull for the guy every time he fights. He like freaking puts on a great performance when he has to take like a year off, like every time.
I know, and it seems a lot of the time he has the
You get like performance of the night and a year off. Like
yeah,
shit.
and some of the cards he's on, he's unfortunate to be on cards where he's got a lot of other stars that put on amazing performances too. So he does these great things, and then there's only so many bonuses to go around, and the UFC's cheap ass fucking pockets.
Yeah, for sure.
Fucking making it rain $1 bills for these motherfuckers. I mean, damn,
yeah.
I want him to get bonuses, but anyways.
I like Emmett. Yeah, this one.
Now, you know, the pay-per-view opens up with Sean O'Malley making his return, and he was chirping a little bit at Dominic Cruz, trying to flex his, I'm on the fucking pay-per-view, and you're not even headlining the fucking prelims. Which we just discussed our questioning of that, which I agree with that aspect. But, dude, yeah, of course O'Malley's going to be above Cruz on the pay-per-view order. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Look, UFC's trying to milk maximum value out of this kid while he's on a cheap contract. They've invested. He's one of the few stars that's really come out big off of the Contender Series.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of a role now after the loss to Cheeto Vera. And, you know, he's got 2 wins. He's got the KO of Almeida and then that gritty ass beatdown that he gave that guy on short notice. And his name I can't remember because he filled in on like a week's notice. Yeah, he took a hell of a beating. Game ass fighter, but so yeah, Cruz is on the decline of his career. That's not an insult. O'Malley is trying to burst onto the scene and cheap. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. But he's fighting. Who's he fighting?
I'm gonna butcher his name.
Julian Paiva.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm reading it, and it's what I'm presuming is a Brazilian name, which I had no disrespect, but let's call him Paiva.
But he's a freaking ringer.
He's like 21 and 3.
21 and 3.
Yeah.
We did some, these kind of fights. You gotta do a little bit of research. You can't be a complete asshole. But I did watch this interview where he said that he thinks that he can finish O'Malley in the second round. He trains out of Team Alpha Male. So he trains with some high-level guys day in, day out at that weight class. So, and like Song Yadong is another guy he's his main training partner.
If he trains at Alpha Male, then he's got a good, solid wrestling game.
Yeah, that too.
And he seems to have some power and some punching. O'Malley needs to be very careful here. I have a hard time judging his mental space. Like, he seems real nonchalant, and you can't overlook guys like this. Because he can't afford a loss here. This is his moment to shine on a year-end pay-per-view. I think that he can do it. I think he's got all the skills. I mean, I think if he were to lose, it's probably a mental lapse. But I'm open for O'Malley to come out and get another spectacular KO. That would be magnificent, not just for him. I don't really care so much for his personal fortunes. I mean, I'm a fan, but the sport needs a young, active fighters like this.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a real shortage. You know, Connor's over. There's lots of talent, but there's not anybody that really draws eyeballs in. O'Malley's the type that can bring new eyeballs in.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the kid, you know.
Yeah.
I think he's delusional over the Cheeto Vera loss, but fuck. Met the kid, talked with his fucking
I
dad
like
before. He's a great guy.
I like him, but I do think he's delusional over the whole L too. But yeah, this is a tough test, and if he's able to get over this, I think, you know, someone like a Dominic Cruz, or I know him and Cody aren't really talking as much shit about each other lately, but even a Garbrandt fight would make sense for him, or somebody up there.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I know, but
Unless it's Garbrandt's down to 25.
Yeah, I know. But he could pop up and back at any time. Yeah.
A lot of that's going to depend on his fortunes in this fight, because he's fighting a killer in Kai Kara France at 125.
Yeah. Well, real quick, who do you got in that fight?
Oh, I like O'Malley.
I think O'Malley's going to come out too. But I do think he's gonna be tested in the fight. But I do think I got O'Malley as well.
And I'm just trusting right now, because we haven't seen anything to say otherwise, other than public persona, which is different than reality.
Yeah.
That he's serious and focused in his MMA, and he's going to come out and do business. And if he's that guy, which I think he is behind the scenes, he's going to come out and fuck him up.
Yeah. All right, so...
I'm curious, do you know how many fights he has left on his contract?
No.
I think that dictates who he fights next quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, next fight, we were just talking about Cody Garbrandt. He's making his debut at 125 pounds.
Yeah.
It's the former 135-pound champ. He's fucking 5'8". I've seen pictures online. I mean, he's fucking shredded. I don't like it. I didn't like it when Dillashaw did it. I don't like this move for Garbrandt either.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's as big of like a difference in size, because even in the fight against Dillashaw,
he's kind of buff though. He's not like a scrawny dude. Like he's pretty solid.
I guess so.
You know, we're talking about people that weigh 135 pounds.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm saying.
But I mean, he's not like some little.
He's
like he's not built like, say, Max Holloway, who's like a skinny dude with no muscles, right? He's fucking solid.
Yeah, he's solid for his size, but I don't think he's very big. Like, he's smaller than TJ Dillashaw.
He's shorter than him too, though.
Yeah,
Dillashaw's a fucking specimen. I mean, look at that guy.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's a little bit smaller than him for sure. So I do think he can make 25 easier.
Well, we're gonna see. I mean, I'm glad he didn't get the immediate title shot. That would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, that didn't make much sense to me either.
I mean, maybe he'll shut me up and come out here and fucking keep that power and not be so drained from some ridiculous cut that he gets knocked the fuck out. Because, like, that's where I have so much doubt is, look, he's going to make a big cut here.
I don't think it's as big as you think it's going to be. Because he talks about, like, he never really cut weight at 35.
Oh, 5'8". I mean, that's an inch shorter than me.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about on Joe Rogan. He said that he only weighs like 141 walking around. Right. A 6-pound cut versus like a what? So if he's still staying around that like 141 like weight, like walking around, going to 125 is not that big a deal.
We'll see. Cara France is no joke, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
He's already got a chin,
kind
of a chin issue. I mean, he's been KO'd like, what, 3 or 4 times at bantamweight?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Twice by Dillashaw.
Mm-hmm. Dillashaw had no business dropping to 25 either. He needed a fucking EPO or whatever the hell it was to get to it, you know?
I feel like he's just doing it to have another thing to talk shit about Dillashaw, too.
We talk about Dillashaw, look what happened to him.
Yeah.
He couldn't. I'm not knocking Cejudo in this statement, but I don't think you can deny that the extreme weight cut played a part in him getting knocked the fuck out right away. Like, you're more susceptible to a knockout. It's scientifically proven. Like, I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm just saying, dude, look, he got smoked in, like, with the first punch.
Yeah.
By a dude that weighs 125 fucking pounds. Like, yeah.
I fucking hate you. Yeah. You get every chance you can take a dig at Cejudo. You take that shit and you pretend like you're not, but you are.
I know. I'm all nice. I'm not talking shit, and then I talk shit.
You just completely talk shit.
With a smile and a nod to saying I'm not. I know. I know that's your boy. That's why I do it. It's funny. I was just thinking about when we ran into him in New York, New York.
Yeah, it's my boy.
Right. He was so little, like you could have picked him up and just ran off with
You're
that
fucking
motherfucker.
dumb fuck.
Like we could have kidnapped that motherfucker that day. Just thrown him in your satchel and we'd have been gone.
You're so tough.
I mean, like, look at this picture of Garbrandt. You see that picture of him in that weight cut? That's brutal, dog. Oh, the fuck. Even his fans are concerned by trained Cody Garbrandt as Nola releases pictures. Yeah, no.
What is that, like
kidding,
a test
buddy.
cut or something?
No, that's just how he looks here a week.
All right, they said the same thing about Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo looks pretty good at 135.
Yeah, but it took him like 3 fights to get there. He looked like shit before.
Who's to say Garbrandt
compared
wasn't doing this the whole time?
Maybe.
Whatever, dude.
I mean, he does have height. I mean, look at the guy he's fighting. This is what I mean when I say he's big. Kaikar France is fucking 5'4".
Yeah, I guess so.
That's a flyweight right there. That's a 125 pounder.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
I'll give you that. I don't think Garbrandt's 5'8", though. I think he's like 5'6".
No, he's 5'8".
Look it up.
I'll look it up right now. He's 5'8", dog.
Look it up.
I just had him pulled up here.
No, you didn't. Don't lie to me.
Because I remember. I've looked this up before. Cody Garbrandt.
I don't want to see no fake sources either, dog. I need.
Oh, look, it's wrong here. They're saying he's 5'7". Oh, look, so they're wrong. They see the other guy's 5'3". He's 5'4". See, they're off by 1 inch, clearly.
Yeah, so he's 5'6" and he's 5'4". We'll call it even there, 5'7".
Get Cody on the phone.
Get him.
What's all of you, dog? You know he's gonna say 5'8". He's gonna say 5'7". He's gonna be like, "Shit, I'm 5'9". What do you think?" You son of a bitch, saying I'm short. He's either 5'7" or 5'8".
Okay.
And Kaikar France is either 5'3" or 5'4".
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah. Who you taking?
Yeah, because look, see, I'm not even kidding. Look, there's his Wikipedia. It says 5'8".
Who cares, dude?
See?
Who you fucking taking now? I'm over him now.
Oh my God! I guess I gotta pick Cara France in the upset, man. I'm going with the flyweight. I'm gonna fuck him up.
Think he's gonna KO him, or you think it'll be a decision?
No, I think he's gonna KO him. I don't think he can fuck with the cut.
What round?
Beginning of the second, like first minute of the second round. I'll even say.
All right.
He's gonna get fucked up at the end of the round, and then Cody's gonna be woozy and come out in the second round and go down.
Yeah, I'm taking Cody by knockout in the first.
All right. We'll see. All right. We got 3 fights left on the card. So 1 fight before the 2 title fights. And this is a welterweight bout between Jeff Neal, who I am a fan of, and Santiago Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio? I know, I can't read it from here, and I always fuck his name up.
Yeah. Ponzinibbio? Something like that. I don't know.
Who I used to razz quite a lot for his eye pokes, but
as long as he keeps his fucking fingers in his gloves.
In his last fight, I don't think he eye poked a single time.
Because he got knocked out.
Well, yeah, but still.
This
is a guy that literally eye poked in every bout I've ever seen him fight in, like egregious eye pokes, not like a whoops, I slipped it in there. Like a guy talking to his wife, and I'm sorry, honey, it was an accident. Just slipped it in there. It wasn't one of those. It was like he was lubed up and ready to go.
Yeah, no, he's gouged
Full
multiple
penetration.
eyeballs out in his career for sure.
Yeah, for real. As long as there's none of that, may the best man win, in my opinion. But if Santiago comes out and drops 4 fucking eye pokes like he did against
Mike Perry.
Well, he did it to Mike Perry. He also did it to not the Swedish dude.
Oh, he did it to I know you're talking
Connor's boy.
Yeah.
The trains at SBG.
Yeah.
Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah,
he poked that motherfucker like 3-4 times in a row and then KO'd him. It was like Dan Cormier style. Stipe.
And Stipe did it to him again.
Probably worse. But as long as there's none of that, may the best man win. Santiago's actually a good fighter when he's on.
Oh, yeah. When he's on, he's on. Yeah. But Jeff Neal's a fucking monster.
Dude, he's real big for welterweight.
Yeah. He just has, like, so much power. He can put you out at any point.
Didn't he fight at middleweight as well?
I'm not sure, but he's a savage.
He's definitely a savage. Who are you
So,
taking in that fight?
I'm
brother?
taking Jeff Neal by knockout in the first round too.
Yeah, I gotta go with that.
Everyone's getting knocked out in the first round.
Jeff Neal knockout. I don't know about the first round. I'm picking that too.
Yep, and then so for the bantamweight championship, we have Amanda Nunes defending her title against Juliana Pena.
Amanda Nunes, the pound for pound best female fighter on the planet, and I would say definitely in the pound for pound top 10 fighter list somewhere. We
She's
could argue
the
of
greatest
active
women's
fighters.
fighter of all time. Plain and
Absolutely.
simple.
Currently the only time and only double champ in the UFC. Been defending both of them for a while now, thanks to the lack of the division we won't get into here. But this is her 135-pound belt. Juliana Pena, strong wrestler. Your Ultimate Fighter fans might remember her from Team Tate in the Ronda Rousey, Misha Tate season of the Ultimate
Wasn't Amanda
Fighter.
on that too? Or something like that?
I can't really remember, but I remember Juliana Pena talked a lot of shit about Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Never did like her, and here she is now finally
Because she's
getting a
Misha
title
Tate's.
shot.
She used to train with Misha Tate. That's why.
And it ain't against Ronda.
Yeah.
She might have been able to fuck with Ronda Rousey. I don't know, but she can't fuck with Amanda Nunes. Sorry.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a tough out for her. But I do like how she's trying to poke her though. She keeps talking mad shit.
She's game, and she'll put up a good fight. I don't think she's going to go out and get smoked like she has no business being there, dude. She's there, but you're talking about the best to ever do it,
Yeah.
who seems really serious.
She's yeah.
She is a lioness.
For
I'm
sure.
not trying to sound corny, but for real, she's going to go out there and eat her up. It just a lot of times, Amanda likes to play with her food. Like if she thinks you're a wrestler, she's going to wrestle with you. She's like John Jones in that regard.
I don't think that's
she
a
does
good
that
idea.
often, and I don't think that's a good plan. You know, and that's where she might fuck up, or at least might make it more interesting. But if she wants to go out and lay waste, I think she can, and I hope she does. I don't really
We'll
care
see.
for Pena. She's a good fighter though.
Yeah.
First
Who you
fight.
taking?
Nunes by utter destruction.
I'm just gonna, just cause like not that I really truly believe this, but just cause, I'm gonna take Juliana Pena by submission.
You better go put a bet on that shit, dog.
I'm thinking about it.
I
Honestly.
mean, even if you just threw $10 on it, at least get
honestly
yourself a fucking
thinking
$100
about it.
back.
I'm thinking about it.
And if you have an extra 100, you should just toss that motherfucker on there.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, dog.
'Cause,
Why not?
If you can afford to lose it, that's a nice payday if that happens, because that ain't happening.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
God,
who
by
knows?
sub too, not just
Yeah.
a win, but the.
Just because of what you just said, I think she might try to fuck around with her on the ground. I just don't think that's a good idea.
Dude, you could probably get like 1,500 to 1 or some shit.
By sub, just any time.
Or how they say it in fighting, which would be a plus 1,500.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
On a prop bet like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put 10 on it just cause.
Yeah, why not, dog? Lightweight championship on the line. Finally, somebody not named Nurmagomedov and some defense of the title here. Not a first time grabbing it. We've got Charles Olivera making his first ever defense after winning the title,
versus Michael Chandler.
facing Dustin Poirier. Fresh off his Conor McGregor TKO, so to speak.
Back to back.
It is back-to-back victories
Over Conor McGregor,
We're not here to talk about Conor's broken leg, but we're here to talk about the Charles Oliveira fight.
I think this fight is Dustin Poirier's destiny.
Yeah, Dustin's gonna. I'll just come right out and say it. Dustin's winning this fight, bro.
I don't think he's winning the fight, but I do think everything.
Dustin need to get his ass beat. What you're saying? That's what you just said. That's rough, my man. Oh, spitting fire.
I hate to say it, but
Poirier's
it might be his
destiny.
destiny.
To get his ass kicked. His moment of greatness.
No, it's not even that. I just feel like Charles Oliveira is fucking the most well-rounded fighter I've seen in the last couple of years, as of right now. If he continues to do what he's been doing, He's got to be one of the most well-rounded fighters I've ever seen.
I'll agree with that statement if he beats Dustin. It's undeniable. But
Yeah.
I think Dustin's way too high a level.
Like, I think
if people sleep on Dustin's jiu-jitsu, it doesn't count. Nurmagomedov fights don't count against people anymore. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's on their official record, but I mean,
yeah, whatever.
you can't be like, oh, he lost by sub.
Well, it does. Losing
Poirier
by
is
sub
so
does
good.
matter in this realm because Charles Oliveira has the most subs ever in UFC history. So
he does. He's been around a long time, and I'm not knocking him. I don't think he had his moment. He won the belt. He'll forever be a champ. And after this, it'll be new.
I think so.
And look, frankly, Dustin's set either way because there's always another fight for him with Conor McGregor if he chooses to do it. Conor will always want that fight no matter what. So that's a moneymaker there.
I don't think so.
But I think Poirier wins this title right here. It's his time.
Yeah.
He's grounded out. He took the money fights. He won the money fights.
My heart says Dustin, but my brain says Charles. I want the story to be great for Dustin Poirier. I want it to be, he changed his game and all this stuff. But I think Charles Oliveira is operating at a whole nother level that he's ever operated at in his career.
Just based on his performances and Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
And, he was a hair's breadth away from losing that fight.
Absolutely.
Chandler.
But I'm talking about before that when he slept Kevin Lee and he freaking his way up to the title, I think it matters.
You think that Chandler is more powerful and dangerous than Dustin Poirier on the feet?
That's an interesting question because here's what I think is I don't know if necessarily Dustin Poirier carries that same explosiveness that Michael Chandler does because I feel like Michael Chandler, but I do think he's I think years ahead of him as far as technicality in their striking. But I just feel like Michael Chandler does a lot of high, high explosive like strikes and stuff like that, which I think make his power even more. You know what I mean? Like he uses his whole body where it, you know what I'm saying? Like he explodes on people. Whereas Poirier is more like he's gonna batter you with his technicality. You know what I mean? He's so crisp with his boxing that I feel like he's more of he's gonna beat your ass for a good 2 rounds, make you look stupid, and then he's gonna put you out. You know what I mean?
Oliveira's coming in as the betting underdog. He's, BetMGM has got him at plus 135, DraftKings at plus.
So what you're saying is I should go put a parlay in for Charles Oliveira and
Dustin's favorite at minus 165 here, and I gotta agree with that. Absolutely.
What's the odds for the Pena fight?
Just the straight up win-loss odds are minus 900 on Nunes and plus 600 on Pena.
Damn, I wish they
Gervonta is favored against France.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. When it gets closer, I feel like it maybe could get higher. I feel like a lot of money would be put on Amanda. That would just people don't give a fuck. It's still early.
Sean O'Malley's big favorite, minus 310. Yeah. Emmett's a favorite at minus 160. Ige is minus 140. Cruz and Munoz is a pick 'em. Both are minus 110. So
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I did too. All shit talking.
It's coin flip.
But I like Dustin Poirier. You're right about one thing you said, though. It is his destiny. He's going to finally win that title. And he's going to have, that sweet taste of victory over McGregor, as much as I wish it hadn't have happened, frankly. And then he's going to have this to crown it off.
We hope. I'm telling you. I think it's gonna. I hate to tell you, but I think Charles Oliveira is gonna win this fight, dude.
Well, you should put some money on it. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying that's the beauty of fights, dude. We can sit here and argue it. That's what we do on the show. But everybody listening, make up your own minds, and we'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Wherever you're
Juliana Pena, I believe in you.
There's some available. The what?
Nothing. I was just giving a shout out to Juliana Pena. I tell her I believe in her. Someone's got it.
I know that's your girl. That's a crazy bet, though. You should make that, though. If you pick parlay that,
those two would be nice.
That'd be pretty sick.
won a bolt. That's fucking great.
Do it. All right, man.
All right. Well,
our
I think
show.
that's it for today.
Catch everybody next week when we're going to be taking a good look at the upcoming BKFC Thailand show. We're working right now to have at least one, hopefully more fighters on from that, including the headliner from that show next week. If you're brand new, you can find all of our podcast information, including where to find us, which is everywhere from Amazon to Spotify and Google and all that shit in between, including video on YouTube. We put a bunch of links together and put it in a spot called
SWATmma.com, where you can head over there, click the gear button, buy a t-shirt, and support the podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
And then go follow us on Instagram at SWATmma Podcast.